What you know about purification to save the heart of a nation? Love burn a talking wood, bringing light to a talking wood. Natural law, just wisdom and love. Vision truth below as a bird. Love burn a talking wood, love burn a talking wood.
I only trust natural laws and follow intuition. Not man-made flaws, I involve non-fiction.
My lessons of progressive consciousness, universal law of justice. Thus, I speak with experience.
Spent his entire life manifesting knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, equality, universal truth, love, peace, harmony, the law of reciprocity. He summarizes his message with this simple theology.
No more political divisions, we all live by one universal law.
Hip-hop hermetically sealed, we supersede. Hip-hop hermetically sealed, we supersede. Hip-hop hermetically sealed, we supersede.
Hello, thank you so much for joining the Affirm Life Daily podcast. I have a very, very special guest for you guys, Derek Bartolucci, live from France, believe it or not. This man is up in the middle of the night to do this, so pay attention because he has wise words for all of you. So he is a conscious music DJ, a podcast host, natural law teacher, and many, many more things. Derek, do you want to introduce yourself and give us a little background on you, or?
Yeah, Cynthia, first of all, thank you so much for having me on here. And I really love what you got going on and what you're involved with.
Thank you.
And your overall wonderful heart-based intentions behind it. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to see, and all that. Just seeing more people active and seeing you connect with one of my good friends, Brandon Spencer. In that
Yes.
group. Yeah, that's really awesome. Part of the One Great Work Warriors, if you will. So, yeah.
True warriors. Very much true warriors in this world.
Yeah, yes. Try to be, and not to like get into too much of what I'm about, but I've had a really interesting like heart-based activation, if you will, because we'll go over that later with some of your questioning.
Yeah,
prepared for a little bit, and that really hit home as far as what I learned about in regards to like the law of one, which corresponds to cosmic law, natural law, karmic law, and all these things. And so it was just for me to kind of like retract from such a quantum leap of like frequency shift that I had back in 2012, like a lot of people had, and I just didn't have the right like basis or grammar to like articulate or even like understand what the hell I went through, type of thing. Like I was literally like zapped by the fucking universe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, wait, what's going on exactly? Yeah, but your old life won't cut it anymore. You gotta change and fold into the new. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Well, I, as I said, I am so glad to have you on. So we will jump in because I know you describe your kind of philosophy as the science of life. So I really would like you to kind of explain what that means.
Yeah, sure, Cynthia. I love being able to just put these things in just different terms that might resonate with people more than just like something like natural law, because people could get easily hung up on like, oh, the laws of nature, and think of it in terms of some kind of like Darwinian survival of the fittest type of shit, which is not what the laws of the universe are about, which are eternal principles that go beyond this earth realm. They apply to us as much as this planet as well, on different levels, because if we take a consequentialism or karmic law, for example, cause and effect, what goes around comes around. So basically every time we open up our mouths, we're casting spells, we're telling on ourselves, we're exposing who we are and what we know. So it's best that we get up on our knowledge and grammar, and especially proper gnosis of self, to be able to speak forth the true proper word of our divine essence and soul. Right?
Yes, absolutely. I get exactly what you're saying because, people think they're getting away with something, when they're deceitful, when they think they're cheating and being manipulative, but you're really not, because those laws always apply and you reap what you sow no matter what. You might not see it this lifetime, but you will see it. You will have to pay that karmic debt. So no, I'm totally understanding. I'm on that wavelength with you. I totally agree. It just makes more sense to operate under the laws which govern us than to not do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because the universe works in wonderful ways, right? It can with us or against us. It all depends on our alignment and our understanding, understanding, and overstanding of these things. And that, the understanding of the knowledge that we're taking in our worldview, the understanding, the integration of things, and then the overstanding, being able to observe things and be in the proper moments of life operating in real fucking time, so we can be the proper cause point to the effects that happen within our immediate environment and ourselves. That's trying to be masters of ourselves and what we put forth into this world, right? And ourselves. This is our life,
Yeah, I talk about that a lot, that everything starts in here. So many people are looking for external change, but they're not willing to make internal change. You cannot expect one without the other, because we are manifesting this reality. So if you don't do any work in here, you're not going to see the difference out there. So no, I'm 100% on point with you on that. And that kind of leads me into my next question. Like, how do you describe the term awakening?
Amongst all the different varieties and flavors and degrees out there, right? Like, I'll just speak from my experience, right? Because what I really experienced and felt was an activation, if you will. I was never the same since that moment in time in my life, where I was literally going over, imagine, you're at the end of your life or having some kind of crisis of consciousness, and everything flashes before your eyes, like almost like a near-death experience. And you're on your fucking knees weeping. You cannot fucking move. I was literally like hyperventilating for like 15 to 20 minutes straight, just like crying and like feeling like I was just like, like I mentioned, like being zapped by the universe, as I mentioned in other videos. But that was like that something like really was jarred loose within my heart center. I felt, because it emitted from that. I felt a grave lamenting for just the situation of this planet, kind of understanding certain things in regards to the true cosmic history of just how this whole world has been hijacked for eons, and not just this world, but other realms, and even Maldek, which is the current asteroid belt right now. And
no, tell me about that. I'm not familiar with that.
Maldek was a planet a little bit like Earth, maybe less of a seed planet like Earth, but it was destroyed from within. I think from insidious factions kind of hijacking consciousness. And like, just think metaphorically of this, if you will, of just a whole planetary, consciousness blown up. And now what we have in the atmosphere, or sorry, the Milky Way, is this all these shattered fragments of consciousness, which makes up the asteroid belt and all this stuff. And you can take it to astrology, you can take it to the Kabbalah, if you will. Astrology being like Chiron, the wounded healer. Why is the healer wounded? Well, it got fucking blown the fuck apart. And what is Da'ath, and why is that considered knowledge, and why is that hidden in the Clipoth, or the Kabbalistic tree of life or death, however people want to put it? I go with the latter because I actually know better and looked into the occult historicity side of things beyond the mainstream occult things. But all that aside, just imagine What are we looking at every time, the moon is there? And why is it there? And why does it have such an effect on the feminine in regards to like moon cycles and all these things? That is a
There's
direct
a huge effect.
war on the divine feminine. And this goes back for fucking eons. And this even goes into mathematical equations. But all that aside, right, I'm getting way ahead of certain things. So in regards to awakening, I mean, today you have, just a watered down version of, all right, we got diet woke, then we got the woke, we got awake, and we have fucking activated. All right. Diet woke is, pseudo awareness of things that are going around, yet they're still, swayed from psyop to psyop and all this shit. Same with people that claim to be fucking awake and all these things to a good degree, yet they might have taken their, learning and integration a little bit further, yet a lot of folks are still lacking a lot of integration with the information, which is really going to propagate a proper foundation of speaking the truth clearly to others so they can get it, instead of just, people squawking around and getting caught up in the divide and conquer tactics, which is what the channel that Leslie and I have titled Dissolving the Divide. So we're trying to cut through the fucking bullshit with that double-edged sword that is in the hand of the Justice card with the scales on the other hand, a la tarot, if you know that one, which is this right here, right? Which is also representative of Mayat, the, Commission goddess that represents, harmony, balance, justice, and all these things. So if people really do not have their shit integrated, and I mean really, as far as getting a wide eclectic array of knowledge and then weeding the fuck out of it, going through the trivium process, going over the whole who, what, where, when, why, and properly answering all those questions, getting to the how, because the how is going to be like, how the fuck can we, solve these things? Because once you're fucking aligned, you understand how the laws of the universe work, and we wield these things to our advantage, and we could find vantage points from any fucking problem that exists in our reality.
Yes, I agree with you so much. And people, they stop really early a lot of times, like you said, in that process. So they never get to the final destination, which is how do we change these things? So if you don't want to go through those steps, you don't want to do the shadow work, you don't want to really challenge, you'll challenge some of your release, the ones that are easy to let go of, but the ones that are hard now, you'll just hang on to those. Those are convenient. They make me money, things like that. So yeah, I get what you're saying. You have to go all the way with that process. And it's a never ending process. It's a continual process. You don't get to be like, oh, well, I'm fully woke now. I'm not going to learn anymore. I'm not going to learn anything new. I'm not going to, I'm not going to continue to do shadow work. I'm done. I'm cool. No, it's ongoing, because evolution is ongoing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, real talk. And that's kind of why I like to call it the science of life, because, hey, this is our life. We're living it on a daily basis from moment to moment. And that's why I always like to call it like, hey, and this is, respects and rest in peace to Guru from Gangstar. One of their, I think the whole album is called Daily Operation. And that's what I like to call it, because it's a daily operation to really check ourselves, respect ourselves, look at again, respectare. Are you a spectator, but also manifestator, a generator, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, those are just things of, the psychological makeup that people really need to look into themselves to really understand themselves more.
Yes.
And apply these things and correlate them with, all these things line up. The tarot, astrology, they're all lining up to natural law in some way, shape, or form to certain degrees, some more than others, whatever. So, real quick, just to finish your first question in regards to, like, what does it mean to be awake? What does it mean to be fucking activated? Right? That's what the fuck is really
right.
Like, remembering why we're here on this planet at this space and time, why we reincarnated, why we are eternal souls having this human experience right now in 2024 or whenever you guys were born since then, right?
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Yeah.
We all consider so many things going on, yet amidst all the fuckery, right? But
Hmm.
anyways, Cynthia,
Yeah.
what's good
No.
with you?
No. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that because you make a lot of really good points, and that activation. I was definitely a student of Mark Passio. He's the one that turned me on to natural law, and he always would say, you know, um, to know and not do is to not know. You really don't. If you're not doing anything at this stage, you really don't know. You missed something somewhere. Go back, go back and figure out what you missed, because you will become activated once you really know. Wisdom is the action you take when you have that knowledge. You know what I mean? That's true wisdom. If you're not really doing anything, you really don't know. You miss something you're not understanding, especially how pivotal of a moment we are right now as humanity as a whole. We're in a very pivotal moment, and we need people to take it much more seriously, get much more involved, and stop waiting for a hero or a rescuer. You grab a mirror. You are the hero. You are the rescuer. You are your savior. You are. It takes each of us, so yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that. And so I guess with what you were saying, with the cause and effect and karma, I guess I want to kind of transition that into talking about the Hermetic principles, and tell me why you feel like they are so crucial to humanity, especially right now, to understanding those Hermetic principles.
I like how you frame that question because I was going to answer it a different way, but just roll off of what you said. Why right now? And
Right.
I don't know if you noticed this, but over the past year or so, the Hermetic principles and like universal laws, they're becoming like more popular on YouTube. You've seen certain channels get these videos that blow up with tons of views. I've been portraying shit like that. I never fucking got that. So I'm wondering,
Right.
what the fuck is going on? And like, are they, putting out a certain flavor? And yes, I've noticed this, and I even put out a video warning people that, there's a lot of people that are actually just trying to fucking virtue signal these things. So it's like a check box that they need to mark to be like, okay, we're on this level now, so on to the next. And sometimes they don't even mention the Mark Passios or anyone like that actually goes into this shit way the fuck deeper than they could ever fucking imagine at this point in life.
So deep.
Yes. And they're making fucking money off this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I haven't made a single fucking dime doing this shit for over a dozen fucking years.
Yeah.
And I only started doing this once I had that heart-based intelligence activated through the first eye Anahata chakra, heart center. That's where the fuck it starts. That's the genesis, the generative principle. That, that care, the compassion that really drives one, that life force energy to, push you to do something with the fuck you actually learned and are compelled to, speak about, because you're speaking through your soul. It's activated, right?
Right.
And it's just like automatic, systematic.
Yes.
Like nonstop. Sometimes like I lost so much fucking sleep just because like so much energy buzzing around, like ground chakra off the fucking charts sometimes.
It can be hard to turn off sometimes when it's really going. It's like you can't turn it off. It's like, okay, I got to do this and I got to do this and I got to learn this. And I know exactly what you mean. And I've noticed a huge increase in information out there, like just kind of like almost overnight about the Hermetic principles, because I never used to really run into that just randomly on YouTube. But now, like you said, there's a lot of it. And you do have, I think, a significant faction of truth tellers or awakened podcasts where it has just become very commercialized and watered down. They give you enough truth so that you believe it, but they don't go all the way with it, because they don't want people to go all the way with it, because that would actually result in real change. Because one of the main things that I stress on my podcast is we are powerful creators, and we are creating this reality. So if we want to create something different, we have to become something different and focus on something different and use our energy differently. And our mindset has to change and our heart center has to open. Those things all have to happen if we want a different reality. And if you have people out here just putting these principles out here, like, oh, if you just read them or memorize them, you're good. No, you have to embody them. You have to embody these concepts. And that's when you start to really come about change and see change.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. I really like that. And that's going to bring a segue. I'm going to combine the first and seventh principle right now, because a lot of people I see, they got their book read. They've read a lot of books, and I congratulate anyone looking into these things, honestly. Like,
yes. That is a great first step. Just don't stop.
Yeah, and don't get too caught up on, the left brain egg-headedness of these things. You need that right brain intuitive balance to integrate these things. What do you think integration is? Are you into yourself? Are you doing the inner work, the shadow work, whatever the fuck you want to call it? But are you understanding what I'm talking about, right? It always goes to the intuition, that feminine principle that a lot of people are lacking, that are like too much into this info porn almost sometimes,
Right. Yeah, I love that word for it, info porn.
Or porn too, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that term a lot because that's big. Just gathering information, like you said, it's not enough if you're really not processing it, because you have to process it through here, not just here. You have to process it also through here.
Yeah. And it just seems a lot of people are still stuck at the first gate of the first cosmic law principle of mentalism, which is all about their state of mind. You can even tell just by interacting with some of these people, even on internet stuff, like just, they're fucking up their correspondence because they don't have a proper mindset. Like, what are we doing right now? We're corresponding. But, that as above, so below, as within, so without. So, their inner dialogue is all, discombobulated. So, what the hell they're speaking out in the public is going to be kind of the same. So that's why we can't always just agree on things. We're not always going to be on the same page because people still haven't done the fucking proper due diligence to, understand these things and, just have that. For me, natural law, like when I had that, activation, I just had that, that moral compass just illuminated from my chest, and I felt like I could not do wrong. It was almost like I was thrown into the right brain imbalance. Like I was almost too passive, actually. Like I was so in like the light, if you will, in a sense. Maybe a little taken over by some of the new cage movement type of shit,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I really love Passio's work, and he kind of helped me get out of that stuff with his new age bullshit.
That is a great video. That is a great video that he did, because that can suck you easily to the other end of the spectrum, and you're still not doing anything. You know what I mean? So, because now you're like, oh, well, I just put on blinders and I ignore all the negative, and it's just peace, love, and harmony every moment of the day. So you're still missing the action. You're still missing it, at either extreme. So no, I totally agree with you on that. So we got to find that.
In regards to sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just to finish with the, like tailing off with the law of gender, right? As a man, I wasn't really properly in my masculine. I wasn't respecting the self-defense principle as much because my worldview was kind of just like, I don't even want to harm a fly and this and that. I'm thinking about like not really sure about, owning a gun and all, you know what I mean? So, and this is like 2012-ish type of thing, But things have changed, and obviously, but I wanted to mention something as far as, like what people can do in a practical way to have a mental checklist to see if you are in alignment to natural law. And yeah, it obviously does revolve around your state of mind, because that's always going to be the first gate that these things are birthed from. That's,
Right.
like the logos, right? I'm not going to get all biblical, but, like God said the first word, right? And that's what that is. That is from the mind of the creator, anyways. So for people just to make a checklist to see if they're in alignment to natural law, just ask yourself some simple questions throughout the day. Like, what have I caused harm to? Or what did I, participate in any kind of negative situation? And what did I do to prevent any kind of negative thing, or, violence, any kind of violation against my rights or anyone else's rights, and all these things? And just trying to subtract yourself from any of the equations and formulations of the, divide and conquer, the domination and control, and all these inverted and perverted systems of manipulation, right? And being the cause point of our own life, and not being, conditioned, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought up that divide and conquer, because it is such a long standing successful strategy. It almost seems weird because it's like they've done it so many times. It's like it seems like we catch on, like, okay, they're doing that again, but it just works. It's so extremely successful. I mean, especially with what's going on now, which is almost seems like, I feel like it's a SNL skit, the political scene right now. I feel like it's a whole Saturday Night Live skit. Like, are people really believing this? This is wild. But yeah, that divide and conquer, it's just, it works so well. What can we do as people that are trying to help others kind of see what's going on? What can we do to help them see that more clearly, this divide and conquer strategy, to kind of break free of that? Because it's so prominent and dominant, and it works really well.
Yeah, it works really too well, even amongst, a lot of folks within certain, movements or whatever, truth-seeking stuff. And you see ever kind of comments on really cool videos, but, there's people don't take things, seriously sometimes. And you got a lot of, like, weekend warriors. Kind of weakened at the end of the week due to, whatever. Maybe the Matrix still has a good hold on them, or, a lot of folks are at whatever degrees, right? And it's not to put down on anyone.
Right. Yeah.
The question, in regards to, so with the divide and conquer stuff, how can we help people, realize with their own real eyes the real lies that have them running in?
Oh, I like that. I like that wordplay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Nothing original on my part, but yeah, I feel you. We need to be proper role models and folks that can look up to us. We need to not be so swayed and triggered by any fucking thing. And, there's psyops almost on a weekly fucking basis, if not like more, right? And that's part of just, having a proper basis of knowledge, especially in regards to, the occult and, all these esoteric secret societies and how they function and operate. Because if you see how this pretty well-oiled machine functions, it has certain patterns to it, and it does have certain flaws. And folks have been nitpicking them and, pointing them out for a long time. Yet, as soon as something happens, there's going to be umpteen thousand fucking memes with whatever degree of distortion of them. And there's going to be some COINTELPRO and controlled opposition mixed in there. So it's always going to be some clusterfuck of information and disinformation and misinformation coming down the fucking pipelines in regards to anything floating around the internet. So we really need to be in that unity consciousness, with that non-violence, non-aggression principle of the feminine
Yes.
with the proper strong intellect of the masculine, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say the feminine doesn't have proper intellect, right? And for any human being, it's just, like these are just ways to integrate your both hemispheres of your brain.
Right.
We
Right.
need to not think of, the masculine and feminine as actual physical men and
Man and woman. Right. These are the
Right.
energies that are
Yeah.
within all of us. Both
And you
are
can even
within each of
capture
us.
the negative and positive charge of life force energy of itself.
Right. Right.
That self-perpetuating, oscillating force that can be that electromagnetic cycle, if you will.
Yes.
Just that everlasting, eternal flame.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that. And like, I really try, that's why I focus so much with the content of my podcast, just to educate, because people need that discernment. I feel like we're not going to start seeing through this, like wide scale through these tactics without that discernment. And you can't have the discernment without the education, the knowledge to be like, wait a minute, that doesn't add up. And then another big part to me, as far as breaking that cycle of keep falling for the same trick, is when you start processing information, not just through your mind, but again, through your heart center. Because once it's really open, you can feel when something feels off. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't feel right to me. And I think people really, we've been taught so hardcore to only this is it. If it's logical, yeah, it must be true. It must make sense. And they presented it so well. They were so well spoken. They were smiling. You know, it's like, that has to be true. It has to be correct. My team is right. My side is right. And they're not processing anything through their intuition to get that gut feeling or that heart feeling like, wait a minute, I need to look deeper here, or I need to maybe take a step back and gather more information or whatever. And I just think so many people are just kind of missing that part of the equation when they process information.
Yeah, well said. And especially when it comes out of the mouths of these media whores. And they have certain ways with the NLP and whatever the hell before that, wearing their monkey suits in the slave necktie, whatever the hell, the noose around the neck, and whatever the heck, symbolically speaking.
Right.
And yeah, of course they're gonna have attractive people with their manicured way of speaking to us with a calm expertise type of way of, but like that's their tactics of the darkened version of care, because the way that they portray information and weaponize words and phrases
yes,
our heartstrings in the wrong fucking directions, and it polarizes us.
Yeah.
So to resolve this paradox of the polarization, we have to find that neutral ground, as Leslie and I have spoken about in many episodes in Dissolving the Divide. And natural law is that common ground that we can all stand in unity together.
Yes. I cannot say that better, because that's really, because I felt like before I came across Mark Passio, that was really the first time I really heard of natural law the way he presented it. And it just brought together all the little parts of things that I knew. And it was just like the overarching umbrella. I was like, that's what's missing from everything, is this understanding of natural law. And I was like, this is it. This is the key. This is the key right here. So, I mean, I breezed through all 200 some episodes, 3-hour episodes of that podcast like it was nothing, because that education was priceless. It was priceless education. So no, I'm with you. So, okay. So we're looking at these, polarities within, the universe. I mean, because we do have to, integrate our shadow sides and all that kind of stuff. So how do you feel like, how do we balance those polarities? How do we find balance between those? Because they're there. We can't do anything about them. Those polarities are always going to exist. You're going to have the light and the dark. You're going to have the good and the evil. All, how do we balance those polarities?
Great question. And I hope this answers it correctly, because, I had a really great discussion with Sathikis Boza of Black Earth Productions. He's also in the One Great Work Network. I'm initiated into his mystery school, and yeah, he said something in regards to the Kabbalion that I had questions about, yet I felt like I had a proper understanding about it, and he confirmed exactly even how I shared this with a couple people already in regards to I don't know if you've read the Kabbalion, or people out there even know what it is, but it's like pretty much like the best initiatory way to understand the Hermetica. And
Yeah.
yeah, to just answer your question real quick on why the Hermetic principles are important.
Yes.
Do people understand that breathing is important? Is gravity important?
There you go.
Hello. But yeah, common
yeah.
sense.
It is that important. It is that important to understand those principles
Right.
and laws.
All right. So, anyways, in regards to the polarity, it's stated in the Kabbalion. I might be not saying a word for word, but it goes something like this. All truths are but half truths. And then it says something about truth is something to be reconciled within the paradoxes of this world, or something like that. So here's what people kind of get hung up on, including myself. How can all these truths be half truths? But these truths are just our subjective truths and our perceptions of truth sometimes. What the truth is just the objective truth. And that's just the isness of what we need to understand and align to.
Right.
To resolve the paradox, to not be polarized, to not be caught up in our own subjective truths, but to live in alignment to real truth and reality, and just
Yes.
the essence.
Yeah, I agree. It does say that all paradoxes will be resolved. They can be resolved. So yeah, no, I agree. It is super important, and that integration. We have to have that integration, because how you were saying earlier, how you went from the extreme of being one way, then I'm going to go to super extreme. Like, I don't even want a gun around me. You have to find that balance, that integration in the middle, and not look at everything as necessarily bad or good. Because one thing that, I really, when I really embrace this concept that things that we look at as the opposites are the exact same thing, just to different degrees. So it is our job to integrate them and find a balance between those degrees, and not let it be extreme this way or extreme that way. And that's how we can find that harmony, not by denying either one, but by finding that balance in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, think about like working in a restaurant, cooking food, cooking a steak if you want, even though vegetarian, whatever. In a lot of places that I worked in, and seen restaurants, they're going to pull a frozen, beef patty on a really hot grill. So there's those two extremes, super cold and then to the hot. And then it's gotta, you understand and have done this for a while. You see a pattern and a timing of that. So those are, the laws of nature in operation in regards to, hot and cold, and the differential of when it's going to come to that, happy medium or medium rare, if you will, and that kind of stuff. If that's just like an analogy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one thing that I do see, and it kind of draws back to what we were talking about as far as the divide and conquer, and it relates to the polarities as well, is I feel like one of the big divisions that they're really exploiting now is between women and men. Because there's not a lot of balance within each individual, between the divine masculine and divine feminine. So within each person, you have extremes of how they're presenting, either to one extreme or the other. There's no balance. And so then between the genders, we can't find any balanced relationship, especially with, intimate partnership. So how do you think we can go about trying to find some type of balance between that divine masculine and feminine within ourselves and then within relationship?
Well, you set it out perfectly because, yeah, respect that law of correspondence, as within, so without. So I'm sure people have heard this and it might sound cliche, but, like, you really got to love yourself before you can, if you don't have love for yourself, you cannot give that love to someone else.
Yeah.
Right? And
Right.
loving yourself has that integration of, if you're a man, you feel into that divine feminine within yourself.
Yeah.
And with a woman, vice versa. It doesn't mean you fucking, become a transgender person at all. It's finding unity consciousness within the first gate of this reality, which is mental. And then that just, corresponds with all these other things that kind of just, trickle down into, your vibration in life and how you're moving through the rhythm of that and being able to overcome the ebbs within the flows and getting more consistent with your flow, not having so much ebb. So, you're more in the cause of the effects in your life, right? You're taking control. And so you're not getting held up so much. Though we're always going to come up across, whatever the hell in this, collective conscious and unconsciousness that we fucking live in, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah. No, I was saying, like, no, you were answering it. Like, how do we balance that within ourselves, but then also within, relationship with each other?
Yeah, it takes a lot of patience and proper communication as well.
Yes, communication.
Like, there's so much lost in translation.
Yeah.
In regards to like heat of the moment stuff, and that heat of the moment exchange leaves a ripple effect of negative feedback loops, and it's not able to reconcile as well as it should if it just wasn't, if it was dealt with less abrasively, I guess, if you will. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that get triggered and you get that knee-jerk reaction. People need to just have more response ability. And that means just having more composure, being more comfortable with what being way more comfortable with who you are than ever fucking before. And once you know yourself and know your value and worth and all these things, and have that, proper knowledge of how this reality works, we're going to be able to resolve any conflict in that arises a lot more easier. And, there's going to be toxic people that come in and out of our lives fucking regardlessly. We could be doing the great work or the shitty work, and people are going to love
it. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I see I see some really toxic posts sometimes online. I'm like, this has got to be like the most toxic thing I've ever read. And it'll have like 4,000 likes. And I'm like, really? So, I just feel like that polarization is, getting pretty extreme through with some groups between, the male and female. Now you have whole groups of women that says, oh, I'm just done with men. Whole groups of men, I'm just done with women. Absolutely done. And I feel like, okay, well, what part are we going to start taking ownership of the current state of affairs and start working on ourselves? Are we just going to say, well, everything that's in a relationship is the guys? Everything? No, we both sexes have been dramatically programmed. And unless we're willing to admit that and say, okay, I've been programmed, you've been programmed, how are we going to break free of this programming and start being our authentic selves and tapping into our authentic energy? I feel like there's nowhere to go, but there's so little lack of ownership. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. The first and most immediate place to go is right in front of the mirror. And a lot of people are
Grab a
scared to
mirror.
do that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's, people really need to take a long, hard look. And honestly, like, people really need to just shut the fuck up a little bit more. Any little thing, and then, like, you got the MGTOW monkeys chatting about, and like what is this word, baddies? Like these,
Oh yeah, yeah.
these women that think they're hardcore or whatever, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they are, and that's great. Honestly, like, they're in their masculine. They got too much yang up in their thing. That's not for, like, real masculine
Too
men.
much yang up in their thing. Sorry, that really got me. I love that. I love that. Okay, yeah, I like that. But yeah, it's crazy.
You can just see how the dynamics play out with the way people portray themselves.
Yep.
And
Yep.
once you've actually done the real work and have found, proper balance in, within yourself, I guess. Could have said that better, but I hope you all know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you don't need to do that, because you're not trying to prove anything to anyone, because in here. So there's nothing to prove externally. And as soon as someone interacts with you, they're going to feel it. They're going to see it. There's nothing to prove. There's nothing to show. I don't have to label it. I can just be in my authentic self. And you're going to feel that energy from me. So no, I agree 100%. And, I see a lot of stuff too, like with a lot of the guys, talking about how so many women are in their masculine and things like that. But, what I say too is, and I agree, there are a lot, but what you, again, grab that mirror. Are you in your masculine that she can even feel to, because feminine is not just soft. And what I try to give you, chaos is a feminine trait. So if you're not in your divine masculine and you are expecting this woman to just fall into her soft feminine, that's not going to happen, because you are not in your divine masculine. She doesn't feel safe. She feels like she has to constantly defend herself. Like, that's not going to happen. So it takes both people to be in that authentic space of balance and harmony to get, you have to be able to give at an equal level of what you want to receive,
Yeah, totally. And just for people to work within themselves. I mean, like, we've all probably had, a fucked up relationship, or, a dating situation, or, a one night stand, whatever the hell it could have been. And it's unfortunate that people get too hung up on, like, one or a couple incidences, and they stay in this victim mentality, in a sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Will perpetuate more future events of that nature. So that's why people need to get the fuck out of that mental state of thinking about this and woe is me, or fuck all men or fuck all women or whatever the hell. That's not getting anyone anywhere good.
No.
What are you casting out as far as your spells? Abracadabra, right? So people can, and this is just a sad state of affairs with how social media works, because people are just going to go off and rant, and there's a lot of people that didn't have proper conscious parenting, proper attention, if you will, so they need to seek attention elsewhere. So they're going to flap their lips on social media to hopefully get that attention. And when they especially if they're in that victim mentality and it gets validated, it's just going to perpetuate that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. That is definitely a mentality we have got to move out of if we want to get out of this current state of affairs. We've got to start taking personal accountability. I talk about that so much because it is key. It is just absolutely key. So, but that was my last question. So I want to see if any one of our listeners have any questions at all.
Yeah.
Hey, Saul. What you got for us?
First, some praise. Awesome episode. Y'all covered so much. It's hard. It's like I was here since right before you guys started. So you have a question from the first 5 minutes, and then you're like, oh no, maybe I'll ask this from the 15-minute mark, and then you're like, well, they also brought this up at the 35-minute mark. Anyway, awesome show though, and I can keep up, so it's not a critique. Derek, how you doing, my brother?
Awesome, soul. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that.
Good stuff. I wanted to more so just kind of say that I'm in immense agreement with everything that you've presented here because of the work that I'm doing, looking into the impact of symbolism and religion, and what most people don't really look into. And I guess I'll just say what I have to say, and then you kind of respond, type of thing. What most people don't realize is that religion is not regulated to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right? Or shamanism, and like the organized oral and or holy book based belief systems that deal with worship and spiritual alignment are not what religion is. Religion is any belief system that ties you back to ignorance or ties you back to a dogma that doesn't tell the whole story. And there is no dogma that can tell the whole story. There's too much story, right? Yeah. So the main thing that I would like to offer to the space is that, and I too am a student of Mark Passio, Jordan Maxwell, Lloyd Pye, Jeremy Locke, and the whole crew of the OGs, at least the modern ones, right?
Yeah.
Is that the father? So you talked about divide and conquer, and the father of division really boils down to the mother and father of religion. The father of all religion is the religion of authority. The mother of all religion is the religion of monetary value, right? Of which there is no such thing. And although since the dawn of modern human on this little blue planet here, there has been both the concepts of authority vested in a few and monetary value being, used and talked about, right? There's Sumerian cuneiform IOU notes, right? There's literally like Federal Reserve notes in cuneiform. So
they've been doing this for a minute.
They've been doing this for a little bit of time.
A whole minute. Yeah.
But if we can educate our children, and my target is always the kids. My target is always going to be the kids because of the programmability, because of the expertise of the programmers, the social engineers, the sorcerers, if you will. Their work is really, really good on the adults. So if we target the children, then we can at least have a chance at the long haul fight, because we're losing the current battle and it's not even close, right? If it was a basketball game, it'd be like 30 to 30,000, on the scorecard. So, so anyway, if we can get clear on the real impact of symbolism and religion and the subconscious programming involved in symbolism and religion, and how religion is what tells us to eat fast food and tells kids to stay inside and play video games, and religion is that which tells us to to hate each other, to be divided, right? On ideas, to be divided on practices, to be divided on projects.
They're evil, we're good.
Us and them. So that's my spiel. Religion is kind of what fosters this divide and conquer tactic. And if we can ascend beyond dogma, then I believe we have a better fighting chance, especially if we target the children. What do you say to that?
I'll let you respond, Derek.
No, thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, we definitely gotta water these seeds so they germinate consciously. And what kind of water do we have at our disposal? Hopefully that non-fluoridated shit, What does that look like? All this stuff. And yeah, there's people that are writing more, literature aimed towards children that have some natural law and spiritual, principles in there, which is great. A buddy of mine, Theo Lux, and I have a website. I mean, it's not for like children, but at least like adolescents and folks that are looking to listen to cool hip hop and stuff, which is kind of what I also had intended a long time ago, because I wanted to have kids and raise them up with some cool music, because there's a lot of bullshit out there, right? So
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
rebroadcast the truth in a lot of different ways. And it's not me making music. I got a lot of respect for countless amounts of artists that have showcased over the past decade. But yeah, it's really important for children growing up to understand how this reality operates, and there are really fun ways for them to learn the hermetic principles, and just go about their daily life and be like, oh, so this is applying rhythm or whatever, getting a timing right with certain movements or activities or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, just pattern recognition, and recognizing the patterns of all these head cage programs via religare, which is the Latin term for religion, which as you said in the phrase, literally the definition is to hold back, to bind from forward progress. That's what a lot of religion does, and the majority of organized religion was created by archons and dark occultists. And in regards to Sumeria and money and all that stuff, yeah, they were looking for some gold. Zachariah Sitchin and all these people did not have the proper historical facts in regards to Enki, Enlil, and these draconian motherfuckers. They did not create men. They genetically modified us and cut us off from source. We're supposed to be, like our ancient ancestors from even beyond Atlantis, Hyperboreans, from 12 to 15 strand DNA. We don't even like consume other life force forms, but just look up the Sumerian Draconian Empire.
Okay.
To look into that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check
That's
that out.
too much for the kids, at that early stage, but it.
Yeah.
But there are people, and that's why they push the fucking needlecraft so much, because even these the cycles and processions of the constellations of everything and the alignments. There are, I guess you've heard like more indigo and starseed childs, being more propagated and populated into this earth realm, and that's why they push the needlecraft that much, because they're getting thwarted right out the fucking gates.
Yeah.
Not even with a proper birth, because their umbilical cord is clamped. They're not getting a proper immune system and getting the nutrients from the placenta and all these things, and it's completely fucked.
Right.
Yeah.
It's against natural law, yo. What the hell?
No, I agree with you. With both of you, and reaching the kids is like pivotal. My youngest daughter was just mentioned, I think she's on here, was just mentioning to me the other day that she wanted to start doing children's books to introduce some of these concepts to young kids. So that at least at minimum, because they're going to be exposed to the program, you can't get around it. At some point, they're going to be exposed to it, no matter how much you try to shield them from it, because that's just the world we live in. So that's got to be counterbalanced with something that they can absorb. But I like what you also said, is because you can do it with kids, you can do it through music, you can do it through art, you can do it through plays, they will absorb that, like full on absorb that when you present it in a certain way. And if you can catch them when they're young, that's the time to do it, before they become totally calcified, totally, narrow view. It's the programming or nothing, So both of you made some really great points, for sure. Did anyone else have any questions, comments, anything they want to talk about?
I'll chime in. Hey, my name is Marvin. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Derek. Thanks
the
for
internet.
the invite to this. Had a fun time watching it. By the way, Cynthia, I liked the episode with Brandon too. That's how I first heard about this,
Oh, okay.
actually, because Brandon shared it to a channel that I'm on with Derek and Brandon and other folks in the One Great Work Warriors. I wanted to comment on what Soul said because I agree. Obviously, children are the future. What I'm finding, though, is that to have the kids be educated, the adults have to want to educate the children.
Yeah,
And right
that's
now, the problem that we have is that the adults are ignorant. So, like, what I'm trying to work on is, answering the question of how do we influence that will? How do we influence the adults to speak and receive the truth? Because right now, as you said, what was the metaphor? The game where like the score would be 30,000 to 30. Yeah, I mean, I agree. So if that's the problem that we have right now, how do we modify that? And so just wanted to comment on that. From my end, I have a hypothesis. There's hopefully a way to ease people into waking up. And I think it really has to include being willing to speak and receive the truth, because both are very difficult. Like, even a compliment can be hard for people to say and receive. Like, have you ever had a compliment and you're like feeling awkward? Like, oh, what do I say? Like, it's all kind of a part of that equation. So I completely agreed. Just wanted to comment that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. Do you have any comments on that, Derek?
Yeah, Marvin, for sure. Appreciate your intentions and efforts and all that. I definitely, recognize where you're coming from. He shared a more lengthy version of what he just spoke about in regards to like easing people into the truth, even though it's funny because it's like pulling someone's head out of their rear end, because it's lodged up there with things that they believe to be the truth. So for them to like open up their mind more towards, challenging what they believe to be true is part of that dynamic, I feel, as well. So, and there's so many different angles and ways we can go about that. It all depends on the approach and how to broach, I guess, with any specific situation. We have to really, you can't have a cookie cutter way of, talking to any given person, right? It's not like we do that with, speaking about regular shit with anyone. You're going to speak, to your family a little bit differently than your coworkers a little bit. But you can still be like, hey, out of the blue, like, hey, you got that natural law? Be creative, have a little fun with it. It gotta be this like serious thing, because people are gonna be like, "Are you okay, man?" Like, they might be turned off by that. So that's why with my YouTube channel with the music mixes and all that, it was designed to be kind of like what KRS-One defined as. Well, maybe didn't make up the word, but edutainment. We're entertaining people, but educating them at the same time, right? So
right.
Out of darkness while having a little fun at the same time, I guess, if you will, because entertainment, if you break down the word as well, it means to enter the mind and hold it. But if we're holding it there for bullshit reasons, like the bullshit entertainment industry, then that's no good. But we're trying to hold it for educational purposes, right?
Right. Yep. No, I love that answer. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I'm a big, I had mentioned this, I think, in my last podcast. I'm a big believer in planting of seeds, little seeds here and there. And then eventually, sometimes, a lot of times people will experience something that'll make that seed grow. They're like, oh, wait a minute, this is matching exactly what she said. You know what I mean? And then they'll, be more receptive, the next time they talk to you, or they may start looking at the stuff on their own. And things like that. But, I think just having that courage to stand on what you're standing on, if you're standing on this, stand on it. Don't change it or modify it because whoever you're dealing with is uncomfortable with it. You don't have to press them on it. You don't got to shove it down their throat, but stand on it. Don't back down from it. Don't be like, well, maybe it's that. No, stand on that truth. And when they see that firmness you have, they'll know that there's something to it because you're standing on it without question, without doubt. Yeah. Did anybody else have any questions, comments?
I try to limit myself to one. I
You're
do.
Good to go.
Because I'm always here. But I just feel like from what was just said, and it was said so beautifully, I wanted to read another quote from my little book. I happened to be working on my book when this episode started today. But I feel like this relates to what y'all just said. So it's a mouthful, but it's only one sentence. Bit of a run on. Here we go. Only when it is normal for your average man and woman to hear about the reality of the dark occult influence on our institutions and their agenda of world domination, the poisonous food and water conditions resulting from their agendas, the falsified information regulated in school curriculum, the true scope of propaganda, the dark truths of the major religions, the slavery-based origins of our human race, or at least what I know about it, and what we need to overcome to advance. And the conversation is not rejected, but instead embraced as readily as a conversation about one's favorite celebrity, restaurant, or sports team. Will we have made significant progress towards freedom?
Yes, exactly.
Long ass sentence, but
no, yes, exactly. Yep, yes, it has. That needs to be. And it's funny because I've been talking to so much about people. I said I wanted to maybe even do a whole podcast about normality, being normal, and how the concept of being normal in a totally sick, warped, inverted society is not something to strive to be. Why would you want to be normal in a society that is profoundly sick and warped and inverted? So no, that was so on point. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, so I love it. And you're writing the way I do as well. And just like the way I think and how I've thought for years of just, people are so caught up in, caring about shit that doesn't really amount to a whole lot in the end.
Right.
Imagine if people cared as much about their video games and sports teams, about the truth and just like living aligned with natural law, even more than they loved, the Broncos or
right
Dallas Cowboys or whatever.
Right. I can't imagine because it's just, it's so abnormal.
Yep.
When it's common sense, I mean, damn, yeah, we do live in an ass backwards world, unfortunately, yeah. Keep whirling around this shit. What the hell? Negative feedback loops, the infinity, infinite, stuck in time. That's part of the trap. We are eternal, not just infinite.
Right. Yes. That people, and once you really internalize that part that we're eternal, it's such a game changer because you understand the limitless nature of your existence. So that fear of death, which is one of people's main fear, why they don't want to speak up, why they don't want to like, no, they might hurt me, they might kill. You're eternal. When you are eternal spiritual energy, tell me what someone can really do to that. They can harm this body, but they can't harm that. Tell me how. You can't. They can only do something to this physical form, which is a temporary vehicle for you to learn on this plane. And if you ain't learning, what you doing? Like, what you doing if you're not learning, evolving, or what are you really doing? You're kind of just killing time.
Yeah, living passively, letting other folks kind of control and dictate their movements and preferences and even thoughts, unfortunately.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Any other questions, comments, anything else? Anyone? No? Okay. Well, I want to thank you all, especially you, Derek, for joining me. I mean, especially in the middle of the night over there in France. It means a lot to me. This was a great conversation, and I definitely want to have you back on again so we can get deeper into some of these topics. And I want to thank everyone who's joining me tonight. As always, please visit the website. I forgot to say this at the beginning. I'm supposed to always say it. AffirmLifeDaily.com. Please subscribe to the newsletter. Please follow
Cynthia.
on. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm so rude. My wife says she hit the little button, and I think you don't see it. She tried to unmute and ask a question.
Oh, hold on. She might have came in after I unmuted everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, she did. Sorry.
Bonjour.
Miss Cynthia, please speak, ma'am. I'm sorry. You know I want to hear from you.
Good day.
Hi.
Good day, Derek. Good day, Cynthia. Hey, Lux.
Hi.
How are you? Thank you for being here. And, of course, talking about this. I was driving when it all started. I had to hop out and then hop back in later. But I just wanted to reflect on this last point that was just made around the knowing of, honestly where society is right now and the level of disinterest that there is in the things that we're talking about. And it makes me think of, okay, I have this sense of urgency in my heart because over all of these months and a year that I've been exposed to it, through Mark Fascio's work and in my own study years prior, through different avenues of how the deceit and deception goes. It just seems more and more apparent to me that there's needing to be like a bringing others up to speed in a way that they are going to, like, in bite-sized ways, kind of like those seeds. I feel like in bite-sized ways, bringing people to where we are is going to be a necessity if we really want to reach a large number of people in a short span of time. We're going to have to collapse some things and become a bit more strategic in our how we get our word out. And that would be through promotion or marketing. And unfortunately, as much as, I wish that just posting TikToks was going to work, or just posting flyers, or even building an email list, stuff just keeps changing. That's my daughter in the background. Stuff keeps changing to the point that I'm like finding myself exploring marketers and different ways to kind of like, how can I get to the people that don't find it important? Because, for example, with things like some topics of health, I didn't find them important, and now I'm mad passionate. Like, even this stuff, I didn't find it important for a period of my life. What changed it for me? What changed it for me? And honestly, it was a lot of repetition.
Repetition does work.
And it was just in my face. It was just in my face again and again. I couldn't not see it. So just like the mass media, I guess one influencer that I'm really inspired by right now happens to be Billy Carson, because he's unfolding a lot of things in terms of like ancient civilizations and aliens and things of that nature. And he's doing it in a way that is reaching millions of people. So I know it can be done, but I also am aware that I'm going to have to get more strategic about what I'm doing, because we only have so much time in a day as us, and there's only so many of us. And we can, and we've got to find a way, because part of the wisdom is finding a way to create the influence. So that's the part that I need to work on, is my influence. And this is not doing it, like how we're taught just for the money or just for the whatever, but it's to change the minds. We have to become the good psychologists. And change the minds. And we're mad simple as people, but I feel like stories is going to be one of the ways. and just giving this piece at this time, and then down the line, here's this piece at that time. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like, but
Yeah.
that's a thought point that I'd love to talk through.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge challenge, like a huge challenge. What do you think, Derek? What do you think we can do?
The possibilities, so many. We gotta really tap into that MAGA nation that we control within that constitution, within our life force energy. Imagine the possibilities, right? But yeah, we have to imagine ways we can really get a really powerful marketing strategy, because I've noticed a lot of folks in network, and myself included, and it could be a simple resolution of actually, biting the bullet and paying for some kind of marketing type of thing, whatever. That's what people are, this is how so many industries are, get their popularity and stuff, and all this stuff is shoved in people's faces. I mean, even the music industry is saturated with this shit. People wouldn't know of, a lot of whack ass people if they weren't marketed.
If they weren't marketed. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. I think that's true. We have to be more strategic, just like you said, Cynthia. We have to be extremely strategic, and we have to look at this the way they look at it. When they are putting together their messaging and shoving it down everyone's throat. And we have to be, for the people, when someone knows, it's okay. And you don't have to do it in any kind of confrontational way, but, get people to think about and kind of challenge them on, like, help with the cause. If you understand what's going on, you understand how important this is, and we have limited time to try to resolve these issues, help. Ask them directly, help. Even if it's just sharing my information, would you help? Would you be a part of this, of the change, and not just a bystander? Because it's going to take way more people willing to get involved to see any type of change. Just way more people. There's just not enough people willing to risk being an outcast, willing to risk being unliked, willing to risk being unfollowed, willing to risk not getting invited to that party because they don't want to hear your shit. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. It doesn't matter. If this is really important to you, you've got to be willing, like I said before, stand on it. Stand on it, stand on it, stand on it. And let the chips fall where they may. You did your part.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Yo, what's cracking? Bonjour.
Yeah, I was listening to what you were talking about, and on my side, this is a hard work. We have to better ourselves first, and then understand and memorize axioms and maxims and doctrines from the ancient world, and it's very important to understand them and put it in your life, everyday life. This is how I deal with it. And I mean, the power of this knowledge is incredible when it comes to self-betterment and healing and things like that. So it's very powerful. And you were talking about the resistance from the people who are listening to the information, and I'm very well experienced into having different reactions and emotions on the Livercast as such, because of the two languages that I'm covering. I have a lot of resistance from the French side. Actually, it's way worse. On this side, I have to work twice as hard,
Oh, wow.
It's crazy world we're living in. And being conscious into a world of deception and lies and obfuscation is very hard, because for ourselves, we know, and we have we've gone through a hard path in our lives, most of the time we had to touch the bottom of the barrel to understand the darkness, and being able to see the light at the end of it. And it's very inspiring to see all the new faces and fresh faces that coming up in the last months, and I'm happy about it. I would like to see more, but it's going to be enough for now. We have to get further what we're attempting to do, and yeah, I absolutely agree. We have to transmute once again and adapt to this world of 5 minutes attention spans, and
If that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
an hour and a half for a podcast, it's a lot for a lot of people. Most people cannot get through it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not a Instagram or TikTok kind of guy. I tend to be very very bold and very honest with my work.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's what we have to do, is stand on
Mhm.
solid ground. And unfortunately, we don't have this solid ground. We don't have this solid foundation. So we have to build from the ground up.
Mhm.
And yeah, we just fucking do something.
Yeah.
It's just starting somewhere. And this
Yes.
somewhere is shadow working.
Yes. Yes. Starts in there.
Make the darkness conscious, right, brother?
Oh yes, it's not easy. I have experience with that, and sometimes it's overwhelming. It still happens, even after all these years, it's still happening. I'm having these conscious slaps. I don't know how to say that, but life will slap you with information and experiences. Yeah. And we have to be smarter, and being aware of what's going to happen if you do some kind of things, and what's going to happen when you do other kinds of things. And all is based on morality and things like that. So if you align yourself with it, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to destroy the old runes of your older self and build upon the ashes of the old self. And yeah, and it's not easy, but it's worth the ride. I can tell you that.
Yes. I love how you say you have to build on the ashes of the old self. I love that statement. And I think that's a great way to wrap this up, because you do that's where you build from. You tear down all that old garbage that we've been fed for so long, that we've internalized, that we believe about ourselves. We don't even see our own light, our own power. Tear it down and build from there. So Derek, is there any final words that you would like to close out with?
Yeah, Fred, Mr. Libercast out there in Canada. Much respect, Theo. Him and I have been coordinating and doing some things in French as well. It's pretty cool. Trying to teach natural law in French, live and direct. And it's not just him and I, but some other folks in network. It's really great. But yeah, what are you guys talking about? That's the first stage of alchemy, and this is what a lot of people are, afraid of. Even the mirror moment. That's even before you cast yourself into the athanor, which is the alchemical furnace, if you will, that burns all your falsehoods away. And so this is another thing that people, it's like people are already afraid of death so much, but I'm not going to say ego death, but just your death of the false ideologies and the false persona of who we actually thought we were. We have to cast that aside to really go through that rebirthing process, go through the proper alchemical process. And this is something that is just, like you said, Cynthia, earlier, of just, staying aligned in all these things of just like the daily operation. It never ends, so enjoy the ride, be patient with yourselves, love yourselves, keep that compassion for yourselves. That's going to ripple out for other people. And the more we can just just communicate properly and just cooperate, it's going to be a much more smoother ride than what the fuck we got going on with this infighting bullshit, even at these higher levels of spirituality. It's really unfortunate, these shit shows.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, compassion, love, gratitude, they're contagious, and we need to spread that contagion. Again, thank you so much for being on. As soon as I have this edited and posted to the site, I will send you a link, as well as anyone that's on my email list. It'll be posted on YouTube, my site, as well as Rumble. I'm working on getting some other platforms in place as well. But again, visit the website, affirmlifedaily.com. Follow on social media at Affirm Life Daily on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I appreciate the support. I appreciate it so much, because I cannot do this work without your support. I cannot educate anyone else without your support. So please like, share, follow. And it means the world to me. You being on my show, Derek, means the world to me. This is, the most important thing that I'm doing in my life right now is doing the great work. Absolutely. So to all, infinite love, light, and gratitude. And thank you again so much for joining me. And everyone have a wonderful, wonderful night.
What you know about purification to save the heart of a nation? Love burn a talking wood, bringing light to a talking wood. Natural law, just wisdom and love, vision truth below as a bird. Love burn a talking wood, love burn a talking wood.
Of something you wanted to work on. Well, work on it now. Give yourself some real commands. Tell yourself that you either will do something or you will not do something. Discipline yourself. Whatever it is you had in mind, discipline yourself.
I'm gone. Solid.